Hello, you guys. I'm Virginia, and this is Living on the Verge, where I'm paying attention to the real life, the fun parts, the messy parts, and what they're all trying to teach me. And this is something a little different. I've started a series of conversations with women in my real life, different ages, different paths, but all of them dynamic in their own way. I have always been fascinated by entrepreneurs, and having been one in different businesses throughout my seasons of life, I thought it would be interesting to get to know these ladies and why they chose business. And we're going to just talk about it, how they got here, what they're building, what surprised them, and what real life actually looks like now. Today, I'm sitting down with April Furness, a cosmetologist who's built her career working directly with people every single day. And I love this conversation because it's a completely different side of business. It's hands on, it's personal, it's real life. In a way, I think a lot of people don't really fully see it unless they've lived it. And so, welcome, April.
Good morning. Good morning.
I always like to start here. Why don't you tell the listening audience how you and I know each other?
So, me and Virginia met many, many, many moons ago via the salon. She was looking for a new stylist, had had a little bit of a bad experience, and that is where she walked into my life at. And we have been rocking ever since. We have been through marriages, grandbabies, kids going off to college, and just life in general throughout these years.
It's wild how long it's been already. I was trying to figure it out the other day, and I know for sure it's been at least 15 years.
At
But
least.
I feel like it's been even more than that because you saw Chance grow up and he's married now. So
I know.
that's just wild. And just for the record, she helped me overcome my bad experience. I'm no longer scandalized by rogue hairdressers, thanks to April. I want to know a little bit about like where did you grow up?
So I always say I'm not born and raised in Paris, but might as well say that I'm born and raised there because I've been there since I was 3. So I grew up in those areas, and in Moreno Valley is where I graduated high school from. But my family has big roots back in Orange County, Oklahoma, but I am a Cali girl at heart. No desire to ever go away.
Yep, we agree on that one. Tell me, what was life like as little April?
So I had an amazing childhood. Lots of cousins, lots of outside play. We were definitely of a generation that got to be free and run around and roam the streets and be home before the street lights come on and play in the dirt,
Right.
foursquare, bikes, just all of the things like that kids don't do anymore, but were super amazing. Um, Being that I was one of the only girls, I've got like 15 boy cousins, and me and my sister are literally the only two girls of that. It wasn't a whole bunch of cutesy, artsy, girly things. It was outside rough and the boy things, which, I wouldn't change it for the world. Absolutely love it.
So, for context, where are you in the birth order? Only child, siblings? How does that all work?
So I'm actually the middle child. I have an
Okay.
older brother and a younger sister, but my brother to this day refers to me as Big Sis. So that clearly tells you like who runs the show, which would be me.
Since this is a series about women in business in different seasons of life, would you mind sharing what season of life you are in?
So at this point in time, I have been in business for about 24 years. March actually made 24 years. Um, it,
Congratulations.
why, thank you. It's been a journey. I love it. I am at a place in my life and career and family right now where my only child is off to college. She's in her second year. So I am at a place where I have more freedom and flexibility and time to dig into things that I may or may not like, kind of learning those things, exploring life a little more without the weight of having to be daily responsible for someone
Mm.
else and all of their needs. Having a college student it's still a little stressful, especially because she's out of state, but generally flapping in the wind by myself daily and figuring it out along the way. It's been very interesting just not to have to be busy, busy, busy on someone else's schedule and then fit my things into it. I have all the time in the world, kind of, to do what it is I want to do when I want to do it on no one's schedule other than my own.
Yep.
It's very freeing.
Yep. It's a little bit of an I don't know, recalibration, if you will. Like at first
Definitely.
you're kind of, off balance because we're just not used to it. But then once you find your footing, it can be very freeing and very
Yeah.
enjoyable, actually,
Yeah,
right?
I think definitely like initially, you don't really realize how busy you are until you're not. And
Hmm.
you're like, whoa, like I just get off of work. Like I don't have to pick anyone up from practice. I really don't have to make dinner. I don't have to worry about mom, can you take me here? Can you take me there? So
Yep.
it's just like, oh, I can twiddle my thumbs and lay on the couch. I can take a nap and catch up on all of this rest that I haven't been getting. And then once you get past that point, you're like, okay, what is it that I like to do in my free time since I now have free time? And I think that is the biggest part of the journey is just exploring that and, also exploring what it looks like to let go of other people's expectations of you and just really do what you want to do and not what is quote unquote the norm or the usual or the go with the flow or this is the way it is. Like it's been a shake it up kind of time and I'm living for it.
I kind of love that for you. I've watched it happen and it's really refreshing to see you kind of come into your own without having a bunch of rules and regulations surrounding
Yes.
your life. It's one of those things where you get to make your own choices.
Yes.
And so I want to talk a little bit about who you are and what you do today. How did you get into doing hair? Was that like always a plan, or is that something you found your way into?
So I have loved hair from the time I was 6. Taught myself how to braid on a My Little Pony doll.
Oh,
And
that's
the tail,
hysterical.
yeah, it's just the tail. That is how I learned how to braid. Um, Through the years, I always kept an interest in hair, and it was like, ooh, I kind of like this. It was a natural thing. So as I got older, my two options for myself, I was thinking, I either want to comb hair or I want to deliver babies. Very extreme,
You think?
different sides of the spectrum. Yeah. So um going along, I school was always very easy for me, very simple. Like I didn't have to really apply myself and I could just get it. So it was like, okay, well, I could do this. Delivering babies was just like something like, oh, I just love that. Like, I love the little babies, but I'm like, the rest of that stuff that kind of comes along with that, I'm not really interested in. Like, babies don't come between 9 to 5. Like, I kind of like my sleep. And like at that time, there were like these different shows on like the TLC channel, like Labor and Delivery might have been the name of one of them. But I'm like, I also don't want the nanny to raise my family. I want to be able to be present.
Right.
So even going through that and thinking that college and things was going to be the trending way of life, unfortunately, my sophomore year of school, my mom died in a car accident.
Oh my
Now,
gosh.
my mother used to work for the state because she worked at the DMV. So because she worked at the DMV, I was never eligible for any of the programs like um, JROP or something. It was something along the lines of that, like basically where they, gave you technical training while you were in school.
Right.
So I took about 6 months out of school, going between my sophomore and my junior year. And when I went back to school my junior year, of course, the dynamics had changed financially because my mother was no longer here. So now, because my mom wasn't living anymore, I had the opportunity to participate in ROP. So I had to go sign this form every day. And eventually, a spot came up for hair school. When that spot came up, I was like, yes, I'm in, I'm going to do it. So essentially, I would go to high school from like 8 to 11, and then I would go to hair school. Tuesday through Friday from like 12 to 5 and then 8 to 5 on the weekends. So I was able to simultaneously do hair school in high school. So by the time I graduated high school in June, hair school I graduated in February, I took my test in March and I've been working ever since.
Wow.
When you are in hair school, it is very apparent who has a natural talent for it and who it's a learned. talent for them. And that doesn't mean like one is better than the other. It's just some people have that natural creative mind where they can
Sure.
kind of
Yeah,
figure it out
sure.
and work their
There's
way through
analytical
it.
people and there's creative people. Sure.
Yeah. And then, there's those that are like, no, I need like every single step of the way. So the other irony of that, hair school doesn't teach you how to do hair. They teach you how to pass state board. So some of those things, those little skill sets, again, are just things that come naturally. And because I'm the only girl. My dad has, I think, four or five sisters. I have a sister. My mom, I'm always was playing in somebody's hair. Even my boy cousins, they're like, oh, do this. So there was always my hands were in somebody's hair at all the time. So it just was a very natural progression. And even though it came out of tragedy, I'm very grateful for the blessing of being able to basically have a free education that has now turned into this long-standing amazing career.
Yeah, no kidding. And this story is amazing. I've known you for probably 20 years, we're guessing, and I never
Somewhere.
knew that that's the way it all came about.
Yeah.
That's nuts. So you were in school and already forging your career without kind of even realizing it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. For most people, business starts for different reasons, right? Some out of boredom, some out of necessity, identity, passion. And it sounds like for you, it was a mix of some of those things. What made it go from this is something I'm doing coming out of high school to, at this moment, I think I might be able to make a future for myself using this?
This business is not one that is a fast start. You don't walk in the door today and make all of this money. It definitely takes hard work. It takes some grit. It takes people skills because you need to retain them. So it wasn't something that was easy, but it was something that I loved. So I knew that it was going to be worth it to me to put that effort and that work in. Now, when you graduate and you get your license and you go into a salon, um, you have to build a clientele. Clientele is just not built in. It is not
Right.
just I show up to this place and all of these people are running down the doors. I come from a time where we had to like make flyers and go walk and put them on the cars. Um, we ran ads in the Penny Saver, the owner of the salon that I worked with. I was fortunate that when I was transitioning out of hair school into the salon, the woman at the time that was doing my hair owned a salon. So she kind of took me under her wing and she showed me some of the ropes. I learned definitely some things from her, but in that there was a lot of just sitting in the salon, like
Hmm.
showing up for myself and showing up just being there. So people knew that, okay, regardless from this time to this time, I know she's going to be there and I can probably walk in and, make that appointment. I think for me, one of my driving factors that outside of me already really loving what I did and really wanting to pursue it, I think another one of my driving factors was my dad was a little bit of a hater. He just basically was like, "Why wouldn't you go to college? Like you're smart, like you're not going to make any money doing hair." And at that time, Steve Harvey and his suits were like the big to do.
Yeah,
So I was like, Dad, because that is not what I want to do. Like I want to go and pursue this and like I'm gonna be okay. Like I'm gonna be fine. I was like, and once I get me a little bit of money, I was like, I'm gonna buy you a Steve Harvey suit.
I
Like
love it.
that in my head was like my aha, my like I have arrived moment. But I never bought him the suit. But what really stood out, so I've been behind the chair professionally since 18. What really stood out was like at 19, I was really able to, I had the ability to move out and support myself and not need any type of assistance from my parents. Um,
Wow.
I stayed home. I didn't move out then, but if I wanted to, I was sustaining myself well enough that I wouldn't have needed to if I wanted to. But I'm also a little bit smart with my money. I'm like, I'm gonna stay here and save, save, save because I kind of like it.
Why not? Yeah.
Right. And then, I think I eventually moved. I think I was about 20 or 2021, I think, when I moved.
Okay.
So that was my keep going. And then through the years, I think. I say this all the time. Like, I'm the friendliest, unfriendly person ever. Like, I can small talk. I love, talking to people at this point. I've had clients who have been my clients from the time I started until now. So we have grown up together and we are now family. I don't just look at you
Hmm.
guys as like, oh, you're my client. you know, I don't really care. I am invested in the family stories. I need the updates. I
You
need to see
sure
the
are. You
kids.
sure do.
Yes, like I know all the players. So I love that element about it. And I love the fact that I'm I'm grateful that I'm fortunate enough to be involved in some of people's biggest moments in their lives. Like I'm included in those core memories of the things, like not only for them, but for myself as well. And vice versa. Like they're ingrained in the core memories of my life, like,
Yeah.
sending my daughter to school and graduate and like the support that she got just from people who love her and know her through me. Like
Yeah,
it's
that was
very
pretty cool. I got the chills thinking about
yeah,
how
it's
showered she was.
very,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very like heartwarming and just those are the things that I live for those type of connections and that type of community, so to speak.
What would you say has been harder than you expected?
So because I love my job, I don't really feel like there's a lot of hard. I think the hard comes sometimes in knowing that everybody is just not going to be happy sometimes, and it's not necessarily a reflection of you. Especially for what I do. Sometimes people will sit in my chair and they're unhappy with life or
Hmm.
something, and they think hair is going to fix it. And then you fix it how they say that you're like, they want it. And then they're like, yeah, no, that's not it. I hate it. I had to learn that that is not a me thing and that is a them thing, and that that's not a reflection of my work. I'm still working to a standard of excellence and providing good service. Like, I might just not be the people for them, and that's
Right.
okay. Learning that, like, every person is not a fit to stay long term in your chair,
Right. Not
and
everyone's for
that's
everyone.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's just part of the business. It's not a personal attack. I think one of the biggest challenges I think that I have found is that sometimes your family and friends do not realize that your career is actually a career, and they treat it as if it's disposable. Like, oh, you could just change your schedule, or you don't have to go to work for that. And that is just not the case. Like, it is a legitimate career. It is literally how I pay my bills and I feed my family. Like,
Right.
I have to show up. So I think sometimes getting people to understand that just because it's not a quote unquote traditional career, it is still a career and it is very valuable. It brings value to not only my life, but the lives of other people too, the people that I service.
I could agree with that. So tell me what's been better than you thought.
I have to say, probably the finances and the ability to be recession proof and never, like, I don't ever worry about recession because at the end of the day, if I have a client that, let's just say I see them 3 times a month, okay, maybe I'm not going to see them 3 times, but I'm definitely going to see them one for sure. I love the fact that there is no limit or end to my earning potential. Like,
Hmm.
I love the fact that even if life ebbs and flows as far as like inflation or no inflation and the price is changing, for some people, having a 9 to 5, a salary, their money only goes so far. For me, I have the ability to take one extra client or come an hour early, come an hour late.
Hmm.
And for me, that solves that situation. So I love that I am recession proof. I love that fluctuations like that are not, I don't want to say life and death, but it's not the difference between me being able to eat out or pay the light bill or have gas or pay the electric bill. I am able to, in essence, kind of control my earning potential.
Yeah, you're in charge of your own destiny. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Okay, I want to talk about what your actual day looks like. I feel like this is one of those jobs where there's a lot more than people actually see. So you get up, you brush your teeth. What comes next? Tell me about a day.
So we pack a lunch for sure because food or lunch break is not always an actual lunch break. Sometimes it is stuff something in your mouth while you're mixing color or while someone is processing. So basically definitely starts there. So generally I get to the salon between 8 and 8:30 every day. Most of the time I'm the first one there. So that consists of me, coming in, opening up, making sure the day is set. So generally, on my days off, I I try to have one outside day and one inside day. So like let's just say Sunday will be the day that I stay in the house, take care of my household things. Monday is the day that I am prepping for the week, meaning I'm going over my schedule, going over inventory, going out to the beauty supplies, getting what I need to service my clients for that week. So generally the day in the salon and pretty much from between 8:30 to 6:37 every day, it's
That's a long.
every hour and a half. On the hour and a half, it's like a revolving door. And that can consist of, colors, it can consist of thermal treatments, chemical services. Not only am I actually servicing the clients, but I'm also providing customer care along the way. So that looks like, okay, you're in the chair. Okay, we need to schedule a follow-up appointment. What are your concerns? What is it, the
Hmm.
goal that we're working on? What is it that we want to, fix in the future? Different things like that. So not only am I servicing the client, I'm also taking care of the back end logistics of the booking, the accounting, um, just all of the things, making sure that the customer has a satisfactory experience from the time they get there till the time they leave, as well as the customer service that takes place via the phone calls, the text messages, the
Hmm.
questions, and all of those things. So it is definitely a lot of peopling. It's a lot of words. Like I said, we're family. So it's an update on what's going on in their life. I tell the same story every day. However many clients I have, I'm telling that same story, 8, 9 times a day. So, sometimes by the time I am home, I'm out of words. Like
Right.
quiet is amazing because not only am I hearing all of my words in the background chatter, I work with 7 other people who, if we're all there at the same time, it's a lot of background going
Oh,
on. So
yes.
so it's a lot of that. And then, sometimes too, it's also managing, other stylists, clients as well, because again, at this salon that I'm at now, I've been here for about 10 years, 10 or 11 years, something like that. So a long time. So I'm always there. So
Right.
everybody's clients knows me. So it's a very like, hi, April, hi. So I'm talking to not only my clientele, but others' clientele. And it's a little funny because they get a little offended when I don't speak, but I'm like, I'm sorry, I was busy. I couldn't help it.
Working on my own client.
Yeah. So it's a lot of that. And then I like to meal prep. So, I only really cook Sunday and Monday, my day off. Maybe one time through the week, but by the time I get home, if it's a gym day, then I am trying to go to the gym for an hour. Like fitting all of these things in the day, it's a big process because then after the gym, then it's shower, eat,
Hmm.
go to bed, rinse and repeat, do it all over again. So the day looks very similar daily outside of the people are different. So the
Right.
services may be different from day to day.
That makes a lot of sense. And it definitely sounds like a super long day. Um,
It is.
yeah, I can tell. And I've been there, so I can imagine. I'm usually earlier in the day, so
Hmm.
I can't even imagine what you're like at the end of the day. But it sounds like you're with people, you said it yourself all day. Um, do you sometimes feel like your job is part hair and part therapist?
Oh, very much so. Definitely an underpaid therapist. Definitely, definitely. Like your hairstylist most of the time knows a good like 90% of all of the things.
I don't know
Um,
what you're
and
talking about, April. I will deny it all.
And the funny thing about it is, like, I have clusters of clients who are like either friends or family. So I get to hear the chisme from all the
All the
angles,
angles. Oh, I
not
love
just
that.
one. So then I'm like, okay, I've come to my own conclusion. Now, one of the things in knowing all of that, you don't want to be one of those messy stylists that say, well, John said such and such about you, and Mary said blah, blah, blah about you. That's not how I get down in my business or in my personal life. So that's not a problem. But it's very interesting because I be getting all the cheese man,
From all the
all of the
different
cheese
angles.
man.
I kind of love it.
Yeah.
And then you go home and you
Yeah, but
formulate your own thesis on the whole situation, but it stays
mhm.
right there with you.
But not only that, I think another, I spoke about how, my mom passed away when I was younger. I think the fact that I experienced so much death and grief at such a young age also gives me this other little piece of I don't know the word that I'm going to use. Maybe like compassion, care, understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm also there, like I said, we've been in relation a long time. So, I'm also with families at very low points in grief. And,
Mm-hmm.
being that I have been there, sometimes I'm able to offer comfort in a way that somebody who hasn't is able to, like, it does get better. And that's the other very sad part of it too, because I've been in business for so long, and I'm in a senior community, but I have clients of all ages. Like, I see some of my clients getting older, and I'm sad because I know we're all just passing through here, and I'm
Mm.
getting to a point with some of them where I know they're going to start transitioning. And it breaks my heart. I lost a client I lost one in September on my birthday last year. And then
Mm.
I lost another one in November. So two back to back. And I absolutely adored these women. And I was like, I can't keep it together because I literally felt like I lost a part of my family because we're so close and,
Yeah.
we see them all the time. Another unfortunate thing is, I'm here through some of the worst times of people's lives. Like, I've had to shave a couple of heads, cancer treatments. And the
Mm.
first time it happened, I remember I had to like stop and like turn around and collect myself before I could do that, before I could shave her hair. I'm like, wait, I'm a mess. I'm supposed to be supporting you, and I'm the one over here
Right.
falling to pieces. So it's definitely, you have these emotional ties and connections to these people, and like they're they're real. They're not just, oh, I do your hair, you're my client. When you leave the store, there's no relationship outside of there. It extends way further than just the hairstylist to the patron thing. Like, I'm literally putting my hands on you, absorbing energy, transferring energy, and like
Mm-hmm.
feeling the feels with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, that it's a lot sometimes, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
It's interesting to hear it from your perspective because I've sat in your seat and I've been that person who's had those moments off and on through the years. And the first thing I was thinking of as I'm sitting here watching you is, I wonder if it's weird for her to have a conversation with me and be able to see my face because you usually stare at the back of my head.
Right.
But the other thing that struck me is how in being someone who has experienced this, how I know for a fact that you just carry a lot of compassion for the people you care about in your world. You're invested. You remember my grandkids' names, my kids' names, like, how so and so, what happened with this and that and the next. And what you say is funny. You repeat the same story 8 or 9 different times a day, but you have to keep track of 8 or 9 different stories a day. And it's
Yes.
not the same story. So that's one of the things that I think is really cool about not just what you do, but who you are, because I've had hairdressers throughout my life, some that I've been really close to and that I've had good relationships, longstanding relationships with, but none that felt like part of the family,
Hmm.
and that's kind of different. When my daughter-in-law says, you know, oh, I'll tell her, oh, I'm going to get my hair done. And then I go over her house after to see my grandson. And so, how's April? And how's her daughter? And how's college? And I'm like, wow, we are really tangled up in here together. Like,
Yes,
this is a
definitely.
different kind of relationship. What would you tell people about the physicality of your job? Because I think people underestimate how physical it could be sometimes.
Definitely. So you are on your feet a lot. I
Hmm.
mean, if you're fortunate to be busy, you're on your feet a lot. Um, for me personally, I haven't gotten to a place where I feel like my body is broke down or hurting or anything like that. I think there's a couple of things that play into that. You know, you want to have like good supportive shoes, a good mat. You want your posture to be as good as possible. And the part that no one talks about is you need to keep your weight down because
Yeah.
you're on your feet all the time. So you're putting a lot of pressure on your knees, your ankles, and all of the things. So you need to, keep that weight in check. So You're not tearing up your knees. A lot of stylists in the business have, knee problems. Some of it is because of that, some of it is just life. Um, the other thing that is really important is like my hands and my wrists. So when I initially got behind the chair, I did a lot of braids. Now I'm like, no, ma'am, no, thank you. I can tell you where to go. And part of that is because I would like to have longevity in the business and I don't want to develop carpal tunnel.
Mm.
Some of that comes from improperly using tools or tools that are too heavy or repetitive movements. So I try to at least make sure I am, maintaining a healthy weight, which I'm working on a little bit right now, just because, getting older, your body just changes.
Yep.
Sometimes my back be hurting, but that's not always necessarily because of something I did. Sometimes it's, I'm working with the older clientele, their posture isn't good, which causes my posture not to be good. So there's really no course correcting through that. So
Mm.
sometimes it's a little achy or, sometimes doing a couple of color weaves back to back, the middle of your back will be on fire. It's just the repetition of it. So what I like to do when my body's feeling a little beat up, I have a grounding mat. I like to just kind of lay out on my grounding mat for, wherever it's hurting at, or I like to, stand on my vibration plate to kind of shake it all out, kind of loosen
Hmm.
everything up. And, I need to start stretching, but I haven't grown up that much yet. I'm working on it. I ain't all the way there. Like I'm working on it. So, and then, also being concerned about what food I'm eating throughout the day to fuel my body. Like, can't I love sugar. I'm in a struggle with the sugar. I'm working on it. But you need healthy carbs and protein and the different things to fuel your body properly so that you have the energy that you need to get through the day and you're not just living off of monsters or whatever.
Right.
I prefer Bang. It's good for the long days, but just
Girl.
those kind of things. Um, Help with the physicality of it all. I try to rest as much as I can. Like I said, wear adequate shoes. Like this last 2 years, I had started having a problem with my foot, and the doctor's like, okay, you need to switch shoes. I was a Nike girl. Nike's toe box is too small for me to be on my feet all day. So I had to change to something a little wider. Also learned that you probably, for a pair of shoes that you wear frequently, about every 6 months, you actually need to replace them because the insoles are worn out. So they're not supporting you in the way that you need to. And once someone pointed that out to me, like my feet can definitely tell when we're at that mark. So
That's
shoes,
interesting.
yeah, shoes are the most important because if your feet feel good, the rest of your body feels good. Outside of that, sometimes just all of the talking and listening sometimes wears you out mentally. So you kind of just need a moment in silence. And that's kind of how I refresh myself is like, I'll just lay in quiet for a half an hour and then I'm like, okay, now I can get up and do whatever else I need to do. Just the pause and being still is the difference for me.
How would you say choosing this as your career path? And I know you don't really have anything to compare it with because it's been a long career for you, but how would you say this has changed your life?
Really, the biggest, okay. So, although this has been my only career, there was a period of time where the law was going through this thing where we were going to have to be employees for a moment.
I
Well,
remember.
they said we were going to have to. It was then that I learned that I definitely don't think that I could be a traditional job kind of girly. I think again, like I said earlier, just the fact that I am able to kind of have control over what I make, how much I'm able to do, or if I need to work an extra hour to do the thing, has definitely been a big thing. The one thing that I absolutely love about this career is the flexibility in it. I was able to be present at all of my daughter's cheer competitions. If she had something to come up, I have the freedom and flexibility to say, hey, I'm not coming in on this day. Let's do a workaround. I'm fortunate that, again, because my clientele has been with me for so long that they're flexible with me. We're flexible with each other.
Yeah, that's true.
I try to accommodate as much as possible. I think that that has been the best part, just the freedom of being able to be present for the things that I want to be present for without any backlash of, well, if you don't come in this day, or you took too many days off, or you have no
Yeah.
more PTO, that has been one of the biggest things. It's afforded me a very comfortable lifestyle. I'm also able to, support my daughter away at college. I have a couple little god babies. I'm able to spoil them, and it's not a hardship for me. I'm grateful that I'm able to have, excuse me, the majority of what I want, but all of what I need. And everybody doesn't have that same story. So I know I'm very blessed to be able to be walking in that kind of freedom.
Amen. Taking control of your own life and, forging your own future is basically one of the most empowering things that we can do, right, in life.
Mhm.
So as we get ready to wrap up, I just would like to ask you the same two questions I've asked everybody else so far. What would you say to your younger self?
To my younger self, I would just encourage her to, like, you're on the right path for you. Um, I think there were some lessons that I learned a little later on in life that I would have preferred her to learn earlier. Like I am teaching my daughter, as far as like, have your own thoughts, do what makes you happy, and don't worry about the fallout from everybody else, because everyone gets a choice. And you have a choice to do what makes you happy. Do that, follow that, and you can't go wrong.
I love that. I think that's terrific. And for someone listening that's in your season of life, what would you tell them if they were thinking of stepping into something new?
I would say go for it. Like, as long as you're alive, you have the capability to learn. Go for it. I started something new. I am trying to learn how to work in these stock market streets, because for me, it's not necessarily going to be a transition plan, but it just gives me that extra ability to, again, create income for myself without having to physically be somewhere. Um, but I'm learning it. I
Yep.
was completely ignorant to it 4 weeks ago. So even just from 4 weeks to now, I've learned so much in that short span of time. I think that even if you're uncertain, do it scared, because
Oh, I love
what's the
that.
worst could happen? You
Mhm.
either do it scared and you figure out, like, oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought and I can really do this. Or, I stepped out, I did it, I don't really like it. So let's pivot and do something else. We have the ability to continue to grow and evolve and change until we're on the other side of the dirt. So as long as you're here, even playing field, just do what you want.
Do
Life is
it.
short. Be
Hmm.
happy.
I
Do
love
the
that.
thing.
I love that. And yes, I'm going to be turning over my portfolio to you quite shortly, I'm certain.
I'm working on it. Each
Listen,
one teach one is the way that it should be, especially when it comes to things like that. Nobody, I'm not going to say nobody, but most people aren't able to benefit from it because nobody's willing to just freely help someone else. Most of the time, there's a catch, there's a monetary thing. If it's not costing me anything to share some knowledge, it's why not pass it along? And I think that is another great thing about my career, because so many different people sit in my chair from different walks of life, different backgrounds, different careers. I know so much. I know a lot of things about a lot of little things, but
hmm,
they add up, because then when another person says, oh, I'm trying to figure out X, Y, and Z. You know what? I know X, Y, and Z because I know somebody who does X, Y, and Z, and they
yes,
said blah, 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 blah. Like, information should just be shared instead of hoarded, because it's no good to me to hoard it all up for myself and don't teach somebody else. Like, I want my daughter to be able to pick up the things that I learn and run with them into her future,
yes.
for generations to come.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. We empower one another through knowledge and through sharing. And I don't think that that always has to come with some big obstacle. Sometimes it can just be easy,
Yes.
and it should be.
Yes.
You know, this has been fantastic. And part of what I think I really truly love about these conversations is that everyone's path looks different. And in that, there's always something that makes you kind of think of your own path, something that you can relate with. And so, for my listening audience, I hope you found something in this one that stayed with you. And until next time, I'll be right here Living on the Verge. Thanks, April.
You're welcome. It was amazing.